Hey there, Regina Andler here, and it is time for Coffee with Regina. And today I have my friend Raja Vaidya. Did I
Close,
pronounce it right?
Vaidya.
Was it
Close enough.
close?
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
All
thank you,
right.
Regina.
I am so happy to have Raja here today because I've been chatting with him lately, and this guy is just amazingly incredible. Let me just give you the bio, and then we're just going to get right into things because
Mm,
Raja is this guy. He is someone who brings a mix of science, heart, and high energy into every room he steps into. He helps companies and entrepreneurs create workplaces where everyone feels included and able to do their best work. He's a scientist turned keynote speaker, and he's a grandmaster black belt. He's a coach who teaches leaders to support team members with both visible and invisible challenges. We're going to talk about that. And
mhm.
he's done so much stuff. He's spent 26 years in cancer research and more than 40 years teaching his mind shift method. I could read all of this. But I really want to point out he's also a 3-time TEDx speaker, and he's an amazing singer. So help me welcome Raja to Coffee with Regina. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Regina. And you got to ring the victory bell for being here and being amazing. I mean, thank you so much. And by the way, Regina was a great guest on my show just 2 weeks ago, and we decided, we just had so much fun. We just had to do it again. So thank you so much for inviting me to yours.
Oh, I am so happy to have you here because what we said before we came on air here was that
Yeah.
we could talk for hours. We
Oh
could,
yeah,
there's
easily.
just so much stuff that we could talk about, right?
Yep.
But for this group here, and I have a lot of coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs in our audience, and one of their biggest things is they want to get in front of more people, and yet they're not
Yeah.
too keen on getting up and actually speaking. So even
Right.
I even have a client who literally we're doing tests back and forth on Zoom because she's just scared to death just to show up on Zoom and speak, let alone show
Mhm.
up on a stage or any place else. And I know that you had some challenges. You call them invisible
Oh boy.
disabilities. And
Yeah.
just tell us a
Uh,
little bit about your journey.
Sure, certainly. So, uh, last year's TED Talk was called "How to Speak When You Can't Talk," and I really talk about my journey of growing up. I have a lifelong stutter that I still face every day. So for me, in my mind, I'm thinking I fail every day, every hour, every day, every minute, and speaking fluently. And yet, it wasn't until I finally let go of the shame of it that I finally found my voice. And to tell you a bit about that, I'm an immigrant. I was born in Bombay, India. So public service announcements: Indians are people born in India, not the people that live in teepees. Those are Native Americans. Um, moving on, and because that was it's a fun thing we talked about in like elementary school. I had to correct the teacher, and uh, but when we moved to the U.S., I remember moving to when we first moved to Northeast Philly. I played with every single color, race, creed, and religion. During recess, I loved soccer, and we all just had a great time. And then when we moved to the suburbs when I was 7 years old, something different happened. I had to realize I'm not the same as everybody else. I They treated me as a foreigner. They treated me. I had these big Coke bottle glasses, and I also had a stutter, so I couldn't talk the same as everybody. Or imagine being trapped in a box, and when you want to speak, someone shuts the lid. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like you're just basically trapped in your own body, and it's really hard to break out of that box of fear. And so I just step out onto the soccer field one day because the kids didn't want to play with me. I said, okay, fine. I'm standing here until you pick me. And they finally did. As soon as I played, boom. Then they saw me play. They could run. I was like, man, this kid's fast. I don't care how he talks. Like, he's on my team now. And that's what you do. It's like you got to face those fears and face those challenges. So not only did my second grade teacher tell the guidance counselor that I was mentally retarded because I couldn't talk right? I used to get into 30-second blocks. It took me years. They put me into a special education and classes and which was fine because I had a new circle of friends, but I couldn't shake the feeling I didn't quite belong here. So I fought back the best way I knew through my academics. And by the time I hit sixth grade, this a couple years later, I had the highest grades in math and science, not just in my class, but in all four classrooms in the entire grade. That's when they realized they had targeted me the wrong way. I got into all the advanced classes after that. Then I got into the a gifted program, and it's not and I don't say any of this to brag. I have no ego about it. It's about to show that we all believe something more about ourselves, and that's why my tagline after every show, every coaching, every podcast is, "Don't fake it till you make it. Believe it and become it." And that belief in yourself is one of the hardest things to fuel, because the whole world is trying to reprogram you. They're trying to tell you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, you're not something enough, you're not pretty enough. I mean, I have a big battle with my children all the time about don't believe social media, because social media is really going to tell you the surface level of what other people's lives are. They're going to show you the icing, but not the cake, right? So if that's the case, you're getting a false representation of the reality of life. And these algorithms are training our children and shortening their attention spans. So I really try to restrict that for all people. In fact, my first TED talk was called "Loneliness in a Social Media Society." And so when we talk about these different, metrics, like people say, "Oh, I got 5,000 friends on Facebook. I got 10,000 friends on YouTube." Are they really friends? Think about that. If you get a flat tire in the middle of the night coming home from the airport, who are you going to call to come help you out? That's your friend, right? And so think about that. When you lose a job, break up with a girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whose shoulder do you lean on? That's your friend. Who can you open up to? And for some people, if it is social media, I got to tell you, find those real friends in your lives, because that's when you will feel fulfilled. And so that takes me back to about these internal challenges and what I like to reframe invisible disabilities as actually invisible superpowers for people. Because whether you have a speech challenge like me, you're hearing or sight impaired, if you're in a wheelchair, if you have a neurodiverse issue like ADHD or on the spectrum, or you have a physical challenge like fibromyalgia or MS, or there's so many other things out there. There are abilities and skills that you possess that are much higher and beyond the average person, because you're forced to face a challenge every day. There's a great book out there called Grit by Angela Duckworth. She's a psychologist out of the University of Pennsylvania, and she talked about how people that are super talented don't always get the first chair in the orchestra, right? She was talking about someone who plays the violin. She said that actually the people that actually have that ability to grit through the hard times, they're the ones that eventually make it. So the ones, if you think about this formula she came up with, like talent times effort equals skill, and then skill times effort again equals that achievement. So your effort counts twice. How much you care, how much you try, how much you don't give up. It matters in everything you do. So when somebody says, well, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Yeah, they're totally right. 90% is the journey. That 10%, that crossing that finish line or that achievement, that's just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, you've packed so much into that, and it's it's amazing. There are so many people out there, and one of the things that I really want to point out is that you chose to not be a victim, because I mean, who is more brutal than a bunch of kids making fun of you because of something that you're you're a foreigner, you have a stutter, or it could be whatever. I had the same issue when I moved from New York to Massachusetts when I was 7 years old. I felt completely left out and ostracized because I wasn't with the rest of the kids that all grew up together. And
Yeah.
so I was the
Hmm.
I was the outsider, right? But I
Yep.
chose to blend in and do that. But a lot of kids, a lot of people don't, and it's those limiting beliefs that then come
Hmm.
into our adulthood, right?
Yep.
And they might
Uh-huh.
be holding you back in your business because you're wondering, well, why can't I make those connections? Why aren't I doing this? Because you've got this thing in your head that, well, I'm not supposed to speak. If I speak, people will laugh at me. Or, maybe I'm just not as important as everybody else because I don't really fit into their crowd. And you have these like totally unfounded limiting beliefs or they are limited beliefs that are in your head because of all this stuff that happened in the past. So congratulations to you. Ring your bell for you for once,
Oh,
because
thank you so much. Appreciate that.
because you stepped up. You said, you know what? I'm going to go stand on the soccer field until they pick me. I'm going
Yeah,
to go blend in. I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to go show them. I'm going to go get A's in math and science and show them, no, 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 no. Stop trying to judge me for what you think you see,
that's right.
because that
With
is not
perception.
me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. And everybody out there, by the way, your life is a perception of your reality.
Mhm.
So part of what I do with my consulting and coaching business is that I talk to executives who have this imposter syndrome, and I help them to enhance their executive presence. Now, how can a guy with a speech problem teach executive presence? It's simple. Communication is so much more than the words that come out of your mouth. And if you can hear me, you can feel me, you can feel my energy coming through the screen when I talk about things. And now I put on my keynote speaking voice, and now what I adjust to the tone and the pacing of the audience, now they're connecting with me. And when I get up on stage, I break them out of their average by belting out a song. This is the moment, this is the day when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. And
Love
they
it.
see, and they see that there is more than meets the eye. And that's their first clue that, whoa, this is not going to be some motivational rah-rah training. It's not. It's really not. This is about strategic use of real psychological skills and strategies that connect you with an audience and improve not just your confidence, but your internal self-esteem. And that's really the key, is that a lot of us feel that you get that imposter syndrome, you get the title, you start getting a promotion, all of a sudden, wow, who am I to be telling these people that have more experience than me what to do? Who am I to be telling them what's the budget? Who am I to be telling the vice president of the company what do you think we should do out of these three options? Oh, I just got here. I don't think I should comment. I feel, you know. Here's the thing. Michelangelo said this about the statue of David, is that he built this incredible 17-foot statue out of 6 tons of white marble. And when he was asked how did he create this thing, he said, "I didn't create anything. I found the greatness within and removed the excess." And that's what I do for people. Is like, I didn't know I had greatness in me until I finally let go of the shame, let go of my imposter syndrome, and finally started to stand up to the bullies that would take advantage of my of of of, of my speech challenges. Like, imagine this: has anybody out there had a boss or a coworker, anybody at your company, take credit for your work, and then they get the promotion? Yeah. Guess
Mhm.
what? Guess what happened to me? As so, I started karate, so I didn't have to talk. I started singing, so I didn't have to talk. I started cancer research, so I didn't have to talk. I could hide in the lab, and I could just, do the work, do really good work, and someone else then would present it. Problem was, at my last company when I worked at Johnson and Johnson, over 10 years, we were actually part of a company called Immunicon that got bought out. So then we became J&J employees. So then we got put on the bottom rung of the ladder. So we had to prove ourselves. Pardon me. And so as a result, every single manager I did, I went above and beyond the X. I did my work, plus I helped other people in the lab. I helped train the interns, the summer students. I helped coach other people on the teams on techniques and procedures. I implemented new machines and new automations. I sped up our processes. Um, so people love me. They're like, oh, wow, Raja's so great. He's such a great scientist. And somebody else would present my work. This happened 6 times in a row. 6 different supervisors, managers would present my work. They would acknowledge me, but they would get the promotion. I didn't. And the last one left my name off the slide deck. That one hurt the most.
Wow.
Well, that's my origin story. Sometimes things happen to us. Sometimes they happen for us. So I decided to do a pivot. My parents taught me well. So I said, all right, I'm going to forgive, but I'm not going to forget. And I started thinking, why is this happening again? What is the pattern? What's going on? And what can I do to change it? Well, I started thinking, you know what? It's everybody thinks I can't talk in front of groups. And that's what I believe too. So I said, how can I change that? Well, I started reading books on personal development. I started everything I could find about confidence and leadership, and started to go to seminars and webinars. And then I joined Toastmasters, and I started to really force myself to practice speaking in front of groups of people, getting evaluated. And I realized, oh my God, the words are only about 7% of what you're saying. The majority of it is body language and tone. And I thought, wait a second, body language, I know karate. I know body language. Wait, and tone, that's basically singing. So basically, I got the 2 other parts of it. So I got 93% of it handled. So I'm not going to worry about the 7% anymore. And all of a sudden, everything changed. So I flipped my fear to my superpower, right? Guys, you get me? So now, because I finally faced my fear, the real fear, and there's a great book out there by Brian Tracy called Eat the Frog.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is
one of my favorites.
Hardest thing possible, because that's probably the thing you need to grow the most too. Think about it. If you don't like doing push-ups, well, you probably need to do push-ups to get stronger and get over that. Oh, I don't want to give the presentation for the whole team meeting next month in front of the vice president of the company. Well, maybe you should try it and get trained on it. And just being there, just putting in the effort, it counts. It matters. People see that. So it's not only about reaching the finish line. It's about people see the effort. People see the work you put in. And if you do that, it will make the difference. And, Robert Frost always said, I took the road less traveled, and that made all the difference.
And that is so true. And I have a little story for you that I haven't shared with you yet. The very first time I went on Zoom. So I'm one of those people that I actually have no problem getting up on a stage. I actually love getting up on a stage, which is like one of the biggest fears that most people have. Yep. However, there's a however in there.
Okay.
As soon as you put a camera on me,
yeah,
I would freeze. And so the very, very first time I ever did a Zoom meeting, which I purposefully started a program where I had to speak to the group. And the very first time I got up, it was called Autumn Ascent Weekly at the time. And now that's actually the name of my LinkedIn articles. But now it was called, I just repurposed that. but it was called Autumn Ascent Weekly. And I got up, and what I did was I had an audience, and they would come in, and it was kind of like the quote of the week and some kind of inspiration for the week. And I had a bunch of people who subscribed, and I got on the very first time, and I had so many people that were supporting me. So there's tons of people on this call. I get on the screen, and I start just doing my thing. Mm-hmm. And when I get done, and I know one of my very good friends was on the call. When I got done, I immediately called him, and I was like, what did I say? Did that come out okay? Did that sound okay? Did I sound like an idiot? Because I'm still shaking in my chair. I have no idea what I said.
Right.
I literally, because I was so nervous, he goes, Regina, he goes, it was awesome. He goes, it made sense. It was useful. It was helpful. Everybody loved it. And you sounded like you were completely calm and confident. I was like, okay, good, because I'm still shaking. I was scared to death. But it's that facing your fears, right? It's like,
Yep.
just go do it. And then every time after that, when to go do it, when to go do it, when to go do it. Now, if you put a camera in front of me, I'm like, oh, hey, well, yeah, what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you want me to talk about? Back then it was like, oh my gosh, get the camera away from me. I'm too scared.
Yeah.
Now it's you've got to flip that switch, right? So you got to
Yeah.
do something. You have to actually take initiative and do something to flip that switch. You can't just play the victim in your own world, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. People don't like to hear. So as a black belt and a grandmaster, when you start karate, everybody's well intentioned to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be a black belt." That's great. Being a black belt's easy. Here's what you do: come in 2 or 3 times a week for about 5 years, maybe 6 years, and you get a black belt. Like, oh, that sounds hard. Like, no, it sounds easy. Look, what's your perception of that? If you think that's hard, what about going into a job every single day for 8 hours a day, plus maybe an hour drive each way, plus getting the prep, the setup, and then you got to come home, cook dinner. You're spending 12 hours every day, 5 days a week, 60 hours a week minimum on your job. That's not including what you have to follow up on emails at nights, weekends, setting up for presentations. Wait a second. So now you're working 70 hours a week on a job that only pays you for 40, but you're saying going into karate for 2 or 3 hours a week is hard. Do you think your perception is a little bit skewed? And that's where I start shifting people, because when I talk about this next year, Victory Mindset Academy is actually going to be Victory Mind Shift Academy, because as I've evolved, I realized white belts have a mindset, black belts create a mind shift. And that's where I'm going towards. And so as I've understood my own personal journey, I've developed like the 5 pillars I talk about in my book. If it's okay, I'll just flash this up here. Here's a quick mock-up of my book. It's going to be called Unbox Me Today. So it's not just a title, it is a call to action. Unbox me today. And you're going to break out of that box of fear that society, your upbringing, your financial situation has boxed you into. And as soon as you break out, you're going to be very uncomfortable. But here's the key. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that is your growth zone. Because then on the other side of that uncomfortable zone, that's where your largest successes lies. And so it's up to you to change that perception. Viktor Frankl has a great book out there called Man's Search for Meaning. And by the way, happy Hanukkah to everybody, and happy Christmas to everybody else, and happy everything to everybody during this holiday season. But Viktor Frankl he had survived a Nazi camp during World War II, and he talked about how to compartmentalize your mind. And one of the greatest quotes I take away from that book is that, he said that, you have 0% control over everything that happens to you in your life, but you have 100% control over your perception of what happened to you. So I used to get upset, after you get laid off from a job, or maybe you break up with a girlfriend when you're younger or something, I have a fight with my wife. We've been married 23 years, so we fight a lot, and then we make up a lot. That's the best part. But I used to think, man, it's not fair. Life is unfair. All these things happen to you. And then until you realize, you know what? Maybe that's the universe's way or God's way, or like whatever you believe in. It is guiding you towards where you need to be. Because if you don't feel appreciated and value in your current location, means you're in the wrong place. There's nothing wrong with you. And that's the thing I realized the most, is that, wait a second, I'm not broken. Why should I be ashamed of who I am? And over time, I've come to realize, holy crap, my challenge is actually my gift. That's my superpower. If I had not done that, I would not have taken karate to stop the bullies. I would not have become a world champion. I would not, at 18 years old, qualified for the Olympic team. Yes, real story. I would not have gone into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. Singing, I would not have been able to sing in the choir as a bass section leader, doing solos and spreading music and cheer to everybody. Last night, we just went to our 6th or 7th senior center to provide holiday music for the seniors that can't leave those segments. I do that out of just the joy of music. And so
I love that.
I love that I get to share these now what are now my superpowers because of what was a challenge. It helped me grow in a way that I had never thought possible. Think about it this way. Um, Take a lump of coal. And some of you for the holidays might be getting a lump of coal in your sock, right? But instead, let's figure out this way: pressure and time. They say that if that lump of coal gets too much pressure over too short a time, it's going to crumble to dust, right? But what if we apply the right heat, the right amount of pressure, and give it some time? And you learn through this through personal development. It's not business development. 90% of it is actually personal development, creating that mind shift. And that lump of coal turns into a diamond,
Mm-hmm.
right? You do not become a diamond unless you face some pressure in your life and grow through it. Learn to live with it, learn to channel it, learn to break out of your own box of fear. And as a result, you become the diamond in your life. What do you think about that?
That is amazing. I love that analogy. That is so it's so spot on. And you are right. It is 90% personal development, for your success. It's yes, you need your knowledge, you need to know what you do, but you have to have that right mindset. Now, believe it or not, we are almost out of time. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
right?
too much fun.
We could I'm telling you, we could talk for hours and provide so much massive value for hours. And I also understand that you have a weekly speaker confidence mastermind thingy coming up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Certainly. So I do a weekly mastermind where we work on executive communication skills. Not only that, we talk about how to become an entrepreneur. We talk about using the right AI tools, not 1,000 of them, because it's just too much. It's overkill. But since that is a paid group, I'm going to give your watchers right here a 30-day gold pass to come out and try it out for free, completely free. Come try it out for 4 weeks. And if you love it, continue. And if you don't, no problem. We are all friends. And but just take that knowledge and pay it forward. And I truly believe in that paid forward philosophy. And this is why I do this. And you will learn so much about what it takes to become a business owner and what it takes to be an owner of your own life. I'm going to go back to another book, Extreme Ownership, by two Navy SEALs, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. They talk about whatever happens in your life, you are the owner of your choices and your decisions. And once you start to realize, you know what, I could have done more. Ask yourself the red cheek question: was that really my best? And a lot of people say, come on, you got to be honest with yourself. Was that really your best? And if it wasn't, you have no one to blame but yourself. And that's when I realized, holy crap, I have so much more potential that I was holding myself back. Now I know what to do. Now I'm unleashed. The linchpin has been released. And now, like a storm of bulls in Spain, I'm coming out and I'm powerful. And every single one of us out there is powerful inside. And I help to release that greatness. And we were talking about also, if there's time, I'm actually doing a workshop coming up very shortly in a few days. So if you want to join that and start to create that powerful end of year mind shift transformation to launch your 2026 stronger, better, faster, it's your opportunity. And make sure you use the coupon code, because like Regina twisted my arm. I said, okay, fine. I'll give your listeners a discount code. You get half off by using MindShift50. Make sure you use that, all caps MindShift and the number 50. Get half off and come out and transform your lives.
And just so folks know, we are streaming right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I will make sure that these links are underneath each one of the platforms in the comments so that you could take advantage of this. Because I'll tell you, I mean, Raj and I have, we've bounced up against each other in these networking groups,
Yep.
JV directory and stuff like that, and seeing each other here and there, and Gary Rogers' group, I think, too. And
Yeah.
we've been like all over the place, just seeing each other and stuff like that. And then we got together and had a conversation. And then I was on his podcast. And it was like, oh my God, Raj is my new best friend. It was like, we have
Yes.
so much in common. We have so much. So we could talk for hours and hours on this stuff because we're both so passionate about helping you make that shift, because We get it. It took us, and for both of us, we both have our own stories of how long it took us to actually make that shift and really go, you know what? I'm not going to be the victim. I'm not going to do this. I'm gonna break out of my box. I'm gonna unbox and go out and do the stuff that basically scares the crap out of me, and just do it. And it was very freeing, and I know it was very freeing for you as well. So
Absolutely.
so it's so important that you understand that it is your choice. You can choose to stay in your nice comfortable little box, but let me ask you this: is your box really all that comfortable? You think it is because you're used to it, but is it
You
really
think
all that
it
comfortable? Check out, yeah. Well, wait, am I
is.
going to go that way? Check out his book. You're going to have to check that. When is that book being published?
We were supposed to do it this quarter, but with everything with where we're trying to hit the show to 500 interviews by the end of the year in 3 years. So I finally overcame my fear. So we're focusing on the show first. It's going to come out in probably Q1 of 2026. So definitely look for it. It's called Unbox Me Today.
I am going to keep my eye out for it because I know I'm going to get my copy, and I am more than happy when you get ready to launch that puppy. You just let me know. I will share it with my world as well, because everybody
Fantastic.
needs to unbox,
Thank
unbox,
you. I
let it
appreciate it.
out,
Yeah.
tell people who you are.
And
Oh,
and and
go ahead.
Regina, first, a second thing also, I want to give you a ring of the victory bell. As part of being our victory journey is that everyone out there. There's a great African proverb I want to leave you with: is that if you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. You want to go somewhere far, it takes a village, and that's really what I'm doing along the way. Is that I'm collecting friends, mentors, business partners like Regina. This is not a one and done. We're going to be friends forever, and we're going to help support each other through the years. And if you want to grow and create more impact, don't chase money, chase impact. Look for who you can help and support first. Money will follow. I mean, that's how I built up a six-figure business online. Is that I didn't chase the money. I chased the impact first. Who can I uplift? 500 entrepreneurs that I've helped to lift and support. And I'm being selfish. I use it to face my fear, right? But by facing my fear, I was able to help now 500 other people. Wow. That's the impact I created. And all of a sudden from that started to flow into my business. And that's the thing I want you to all to create that mind shift. And it's not only about the one thing, money. Yes, it's a tool. You buy it to get opportunities, but it does not make your happiness. You create your happiness.
That is an absolutely fabulous note for us to end on. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You have
My
been
pleasure.
such an amazing guest. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
And we will see you all next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.